On the 15th of August 1992, Dave Gant's diving adventure in search of big catfish of a Nickajack cave turned into a harrowing incident. Despite the overwhelming challenges faced by David and the rescue team at the Nickajack Lake site, the situation ended up being a miracle. What really happened that day? This is the fatal story of David Gant. With over 30 years under his belt, knew the dangers of squeezing through the underwater caves. Nickajack Cave, hidden under the Nickajack Lake, was famous for its twists and turns, and water so murky you could barely see your hand in front of your face. Even though there were rules in place to keep the cave safe, David just couldn't resist the chance to dive in and see what he could find. The love of diving and the excitement of exploring something new were too much for him to pass up, so David and his companion decided to go into the murky waters of Nickajack Cave. Their goal was to capture a glimpse of a legendary catfish sighted earlier. But let's first know more in detail about the Nickajack Cave. The Nickajack Cave is located between the entrance of a former village called Chickamauga, Cherokee of the Nickajack people in the Tennessee River. The village was attacked and destroyed in 1794 during the Nickajack expedition. The Nickajack Dam, named after the cave, is a hydroelectric dam located in Marion County, Tennessee, owned and managed by the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA. It was built in the mid-1960s as a replacement for the obsolete Hales Bar Dam. The dam encloses the Nickajack Lake, which covers about 10,370 acres. Nickajack Cave has a rich history, known for being a major source of saltpeter used in gunpowder. Manufacturing. It is also home to Mr. Big, a giant stalagmite claimed to be the biggest in the world. The cave has become partially submerged due to flooding, leaving only 15 feet of the entrance accessible above water. Since 1980, the Tennessee Valley Authority has managed the cave to protect the endangered Indiana bats inhabiting it. Several gates warn intruders to stay clear of the cave. Despite these restrictions, David Gant and his friend decided to explore the cave underwater, knowing it was restricted above water to protect the bats. The dive. David and his friend had received training for open water diving and had visited the cave about 3 times before. The night before their exploration, David spotted a big catfish in the cave that intrigued him, but it disappeared into the darkness. Determined to catch the fish, he planned a return trip. On the night of August 15, 1992, David and his friend arrived at the cave, knowing that the visibility in the lake's murky waters was only about 2 feet. They hoped that the water inside the cave would be clearer, only to find that their dive lights beamed faded into the greenish hollowness. They saw mud and rocks at the base of the cave, but not the fish. Realizing they needed to return to the surface, David checked his air tank and signaled to his friend. However, they surfaced to a solid cave ceiling, having ventured too far into flooded passageways. They signaled to each other and dove down again, attempting to find the way out, but again they encountered the cave ceiling. Fear began to grip their hearts as the murky waters resulted in poor visibility and they lost their sight of each other. David's friend was lucky. The direction he took led him to an air-filled passageway near the entrance. He almost ran out of air before reaching the surface. David, on the other hand, dove deeper into the cave, finding himself in a lonely air pocket, completely cut off from the world. His friend, not seeing him emerge, grew exceedingly worried but had to wait until the morning to seek help. On Sunday morning, David's friend reported the case to the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, security, initiating a rescue operation. Many dive rescue teams came to assist, but none were trained in cave diving, only open water diving. The incident commander, evaluating the situation, declared it a recovery operation, assuming David had likely perished. Rescue efforts. Buddy Lane, captain of the Hamilton County Cave, one of the most experienced cave rescue teams in the U.S., heard about this incident. He pleaded with the incident commander to allow his team to assist, but his requests were initially denied to avoid endangering more lives. By dawn, those at the main entrance of the cave had gone about 200 feet into the cave 3 times, but found no trace of David. David's family, informed of the incident, gathered at the scene, praying for a miracle. Meanwhile, deep within the cave, Dave doubted his survival, struggling in an 8-inch air pocket with rising carbon dioxide levels, causing hypoxia, a deficiency of oxygen in the body. Mark Caldwell, a National Defense Executive with FEMA, took an interest in the rescue. Determined to ensure the rescue success, he called the TVA to lower the water level of the lake system, costing the TVA several $1,000s, but potentially aiding in David's rescue. Within an hour, the lake's water level was reduced by 14 inches. Buddy Lane and his lieutenant Dennis Curry familiarized themselves with the cave passages using a survey map from 1962, predicting the cave's flooding. They donned normal cave diving gear and proceeded into the cave. Calling out for David, they received only echoes, until miraculously, they heard a faint response from a deep passage. Finding David. David followed the sound of his rescuer's voice, Lane and Curry. He was deep underground in a part of the cave with very little air. Suddenly, bright lights filled his eyes. He was so surprised he thought for a moment they might be angels. After all, David had been lost in darkness for 17 hours. During that time, he'd imagined angels coming to save him, and he even pictured his family praying for him back home. Lane and Curry carefully led David through the twisting tunnels of the cave, all the way to a waiting boat. When he finally came out of the cave, everyone cheered. "He's alive!" They shouted. It was truly a miracle. The leader of the rescue team wrote in his report, "We found the lost person, and he's okay. Everyone's happy." The cave miracle. David somehow managed to survive what should have been a deadly situation. His friend escaped the flooded cave and alerted rescuers. Trapped underwater, David found a hidden air bubble that kept him alive for an unbelievable 17 hours. Back on land, rescuers realized that they needed a very detailed map to find David in the maze-like cave. Luckily, Lane and Curry unearthed a 30-year-old map that showed the cave perfectly. Even though there wasn't a single clue that David was still alive, the rescuers refused to give up. They convinced the authorities to lower the water level of the lake above the cave, taking a huge chance on a fate of hope. This daring rescue mission, fueled by unwavering determination, became known as the Bat Cave Miracle. In the years that followed, David became a local hero, sharing his story and crediting his miraculous survival to both faith and the incredible efforts of his rescuers. David Gant's story is a harrowing reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface, but it's also a testament to the human spirit ability to endure. What if he had checked the cave map more thoroughly, or perhaps turned back when visibility dropped? Even the most seasoned explorers can face unforeseen circumstances. Did you find David Gant's story interesting? If you'd like to see more near-death adventures and explorations like this, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for our next video.